This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
This episode of the Fandalorian Podcast is brought to you by the Adler Real Estate Team. If you live in New York, anywhere between Manhattan and Montauk, and are looking to buy or sell, you need to call the Adler Real Estate Team. This real estate company is run by a husband and wife duo that, in addition to being real estate agents, are also a public school teacher and a police officer. It is a family-run business that gives you the attention and care you need when you're about to make one of the most important decisions of your life. And I know from experience. Also, if you mention that you are a fan of the Fandalorians, they will be able to get you up to $2,000 back at closing. It doesn't matter if you're buying or listing. So, if you are buying or selling anywhere from Manhattan to Montauk, call the Adler Real Estate Team at 631-384-6372. Or check out the website at adlerrealestateteam.com. Mention the Fandalorians and save today. Welcome back, class. On today's episode, we are joined by fourth grade teachers Janine Weber and Amanda Orner to review Season 3 of Bridgerton. All this and more in a Dearest, Gentle Listeners episode of the Fandalorians. Teachers by day, nerds by night. That is the bell. Class is in session. Welcome to the Fandalorians Podcast. Teachers by day, nerds by night. Proud part of the Unfiltered Studios podcasting network. We continue to be the #1 public school teacher pop culture fandom podcast in the country. Here to give you all the latest world of entertainment and the multiverse of entertainment and lively discussion on all matters of pop culture and fandom. That is quite the run-on sentence. I didn't write it, guys. Didn't write it. Since we get new listeners all the time, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mr. Richardson, fourth grade teacher, and the man who threw this podcast together at the last minute. It turned into myself talking to Mrs. Weber saying, hey, did you see Bridgerton? She said she's ready. And she said, what about tonight, I think, first? And then I went to Charlie, and he said, how about tonight? And she said it was fine. And then Cup told us Amanda was interested because he, I guess, forgot to tell us that you said you were interested because he doesn't communicate with us well. I don't know if you know that part, but I've just aired that out.
She does.
Yeah.
Now.
So in one episode, a couple hours. Yeah, he definitely did not tell you. It's all good. We're all together. So I'm Mr. Richardson, and I somehow managed to pull strings to get this together at the same time. Bravo to me. Co-teaching with me, second grade teacher, the man who's actively working on finishing the outline for this episode, Mr. G. How's it going over there?
It's going.
Right.
It's going.
Okay.
We're good, though. I feel like we're in a good little spot.
All right. I'm feeling good. Don't lose that confidence.
I won't.
Mr. Richardson, you know you're not supposed to drop all your secrets about how these come together, right? Okay. In the room where
Sometimes
it happens.
people like hearing how bad it falls apart normally. But this is a great one. This is okay. Mr. McDonald is out doing baseball shenanigans. So joining us today, making her second appearance on the podcast, but first as a guest, fourth grade teacher, Amanda Orner. Good to see you.
I'm so excited to be here tonight and actually get to
Oh, you cut out, Amanda. Repeat that.
Oh, I said, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on and get to actually talk a show with you guys. Okay?
You came back on. It was a Teacher of the Week episode that you were on, and we chatted to you. And I remember you did not get the names of your own children.
They still will not let me get that down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not the best. Not what you want.
No, failing in the mom department.
Very sad. And returning other substitute teacher, making her third appearance on the podcast, fourth grade teacher, and the person who has to unfortunately deal with me every day of the week for almost 20 years now, Mrs. Weber. It's been a long time.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm surviving somehow.
Somehow.
You just got me
Somehow.
today.
It takes a lot to deal with him.
Now I'm hungry.
But I am thrilled to be
Hard.
back. Cannot wait to get into the Bridgerton news. And I'm excited. Thanks, guys.
Let's see. You did the first Bridgerton and then Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, right? I think you did that with us too. So yeah, you know,
Yep. I'm ready.
Okay, how can you support the show? Start by supporting teachers. If your child is still in school, check in with the teachers. Maybe they need something. Maybe they're moving room and they need boxes. You get these Amazon boxes around your house, give it to them. Or send your child in with a cup of coffee because your baby has driven them nuts all year. It's time to give it back. You're about to deal with the problem, but they dealt with it all year. Support teachers. Whatever you send a box to teachers, whatever it is, add a little note that says the Fandalorians told me you need this. Next, check out our merch by heading to TeePublic. The link to the storefront is in the bio of the show. And as always, all of our proceeds go to the Laney's Legacy of Hope. Laney's Legacy of Hope is a nonprofit organization and engages in fundraising and activities to provide assistance to families with someone who's suffering from pediatric cancer. Volunteer-run programs, no CEO, no board. So when you donate, 100% will go to the families. 100% of our cut goes directly to them as well. Check them out at laneyslegacy.org. And finally, if you live on Long Island, you want to check out Red Shirt Comics in downtown Port Jeff Village for all your comic needs. Red Shirt Comics is the official comic book shop of the Fandalorians. Tell Darby the Fandalorians sent you, and they're going to take care of you. For those listeners who don't live on Long Island and don't feel like traveling to Long Island to do this, remember to check out your local comic book shops and support them as well. That is it. I got through everything I needed. Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to play the jingle. After the jingle, we're going to come back and we're going to jump right into our post-observation review of Bridgerton Season 3.
Please excuse the interruption. Please excuse the interruption. Please excuse the interruption. Can the Fandalorians please come down to the main office? The principal is ready to see you now. It's time for your post-observation review. The principal is ready to see you now. It's time for your post-observation review.
That's a jingle. We all love the jingle. Mr. G making it happen, working really hard. The post-op review today is brought to you by Canopy King Party Rentals. It's a great place. Do you live in Long Island and have a party coming up and need a few things? For your party needs, you need Canopy King Party Rentals, Long Island's #1 tent rental company. They have everything from traditional pole tents to high-peak frame tents, regular and high-top cocktail tables, chairs, even portable bars. You'll find everything you need for a successful party here. And to schedule a free consultation, call 631-345-9752. If you're on Long Island, the website is www.canopyking2ks.net. Mrs. Weber is a close personal friend with the owner of this company.
Yeah, I kind of like him. We keep him around. It's my husband.
It's her husband, guys. That's what you guys didn't know. It's her husband. It's her husband. They met at a party rental convention.
Really? Oh, by the
That's our
inflatable.
story.
It was over by the inflatable Titanic, right?
Exactly.
Or was it
Their
the one with
eyes
the
locked.
jaws? Like
They
that.
ran
It
in
was.
slow motion.
Yeah.
It was like a thing. It was weird.
Yeah, it was just the way shown on his face,
Listen,
and
charming guy.
I couldn't resist.
Actually, no, that's not their first date. I actually heard about the first date the day after the first date. Yeah,
I was gonna say you were there.
That's pretty true. Anyway, brought to you by them. Check them out. There's parties coming up. These are the people you talk to. Now let's dig into some Bridgerton. Okay, a little background knowledge here. Bridgerton is an American historical romance television series created by Chris Van Dusen for Netflix, based on the books by Julia Quinn. The series is set during the early 1800s in an alternate London Regency era in which George III has established racial equality and granted many people of African descent aristocratic titles due to the African heritage of his wife, Queen Charlotte. The stories take place during the social season, which is when young women of nobility and gentry are introduced into society and become eligible for marriage. Season 1 debuted in 2020, and the second season premiered in 2022. Netflix decided to split season 3 into 2 parts. Part 1 of the third season premiered in May of 2024 and was a massive success for Netflix. News sources report the first 4 episodes of season 3 had 45.1 million views in its opening weekend, nearly doubling season 2's premiere. Part 2 started streaming in June of 2024. Obviously, the series has been renewed for a 4th season as well, and Bridgerton was positively received for its direction, actors, performances, production, set design, winning 2 Primetime Creative Emmy Awards. Bridgerton was positively received for its direction, actors, performances, production, and set design, winning 2 Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards, a Makeup Artist and Hairstylist Guild Awards, and nominations at the Primetime Emmy Awards as well. Screen Actors Guild Awards, Satellite Awards, NAACP Awards. They're all about the awards. The music score by Chris Bowers earned a Grammy nomination for Best Score. The third book in the series, the book series, follows the love story of the second Bridgerton son, Benedict Bridgerton. However, this season, season 3, pivoted away and they focus on what happens in the 4th novel. Well, that makes sense because season 3 centers on the romance between the third son, Colin Bridgerton, and Penelope Featherington. Time for our post-observation review, officially questions. As a teacher, you meet with administration. They have questions about what you've done. First question is this. In general, how successful was the lesson? In other words, what did you think about this season of the show?
Obviously, I love the season. I read the book beforehand, but it's been a while. So I was watching it kind of in surprise with everybody else. As much as I hated waiting for part 2, I love how they built the suspense of it. I'm a big social media, just like troller. So TikTok, Instagram, everything was focused around Bridgerton as part 2 was waiting to come out. So I loved watching all the behind the scenes and waiting to see how it was going to unfold. But I really enjoyed season 3.
I'll go next. I was going to say I can second that. I really enjoyed season 3 a lot. I was looking forward to it. Like, when it was announced and in Netflix, it has coming soon. And, that was there and I was all excited for it to come. And I think at one point we had mentioned as it was upcoming in our year when we talk about what we're excited looking forward to. I was definitely looking forward to this and I enjoyed every second of it.
For the trifecta and say that I loved it as well. What I loved most about this season was not knowing what was going to happen. They've really done a good job throwing us, of those of us who have read the books, off where we think it's going to go, off the trajectory. And I think that was the best part. As much as I also hated the month's wait in between, I was so happy and felt finally fulfilled when the second part dropped a month later.
All right, now, again, I've seen the first 2 seasons. I did not see season 3 because I've been busy with that 4-year-old. I mean, you heard in the background. How would you compare this season to the previous 2 seasons? I mean, it's not too early to rank them because we're about to dig into it, but I'm going to throw it in there. I'm going to go out of order here. If you had to rank the 3 seasons you've seen so far, where does 1, 2, and 3, where are you putting these seasons? Like we did this with Stranger Things. That's my baby, but that's not what we're talking about. Who wants to go first? Rank your seasons for me.
All right, Charlie, you go.
Okay. So from my perspective, the very first Bridgerton caught me by surprise in terms of the spiciness of it.
Steaminess.
And the steaminess of it. And then season 2 went cool and didn't really have a lot of it, but it was interesting because season 2 kind of had a younger, because it focused on a different Bridgerton, and at the time his quote, not love interest, but his match was kind of younger, and I think it would have been awkward if she was in these scenes with him. And then at the end of season 1, you ended up getting when he was with Miss Sharma. And then this season was the same thing. It was not a lot of steam, but this season I really enjoyed because it had a lot of suspense. So season 1 is number 1, then this season, and then season 2 on the bottom. That would be my third pick. So it'd be season 1, season 3, season 2.
Okay.
Amanda, where would you go with this? I'll just throw it around. Sorry.
Gosh, this is going to be such an unpopular choice, but I'm going to put season 1 in my last position. As much as I loved the Duke and Daphne together, it was world building. It was good. I would put season 3 second because I feel like we're starting to see where they're going. We're starting to see a lot more character development, which is something I really enjoyed this season. And I would put Anthony and Kate's as my number 1 season because I loved the back and forth between them, the love hate and
see that storyline.
So
I did not like their storyline. I actually liked the B plot of Eloise trying to figure out who Lady Whistledown was. To me, that storyline in that season was far more compelling to me than Anthony and Kate.
I loved the side plots for 3 better than the main plot.
Really? With Benedict? Oh no, I like the main plot.
Not the Benedict part, but I love the whole Featherington part. I really think the Featheringtons were the stars of season 3, and I loved what they brought to the table. And after watching Queen Charlotte, the scenes between the matrons was just amazing.
So Amanda, I'm jumping on yours because that was pretty much where I was going to go. So we all have 3 different orders, which I love. My favorite season so far has been 3 because they touched on so many different characters. We haven't even talked about Francesca yet and her match. You've got Colin and Penn. You've got Eloise's relationship with Penn and the friendship. You've got Cressida. Throw Cressida in there and her desire to get a match and the pressure she's getting from her family. You've got Benedict, and this is a PG show, and we're going to keep it PG. But you've got Benedict.
I have sponsors.
I got you. I'm fond of your sponsors. So, but then you've got Benedict and his menage a trois of things that are going on. I just love that every episode kept the wheels turning. And then you have Lady Bridgerton, who's reawakening to herself. And meeting people. And there was just so much going on that I just could not wait to get to each episode to see where it was leading with each character.
You know what? I'll definitely agree with you that sometimes some series get carried away with all of these different storylines. But this one really they were all compelling because you did kind of want to find out. I wasn't a big fan of the Benedict storyline, but the other ones, exactly what you said, like, okay, where's this one going to go? Why is she getting shade from Lady Danbury? Lady Danbury,
with her brother.
Yes, was throwing shade with the brother, and it's like, ooh, what's that about? And then, of course, the whole, when is everyone going to find out who Lady Whistledown is? That was a very overarching plot. Season 3 was really good, actually, too.
So you're talking in terms of, like, when you cut from one group of characters to the other, it's just as compelling as the one you left. Right?
Yeah.
For the most part,
like you said, and again, I didn't watch this one, but it's very rare that a show can pull that off. I talk about Stranger Things season 3, which none of you saw. When you jump from character, it's like, oh my God, I forgot about them. What are they up to? Oh, I forgot about them. And it still is exciting. That's cool that they actually pulled that off. Thanks for ranking them for me, though. All right. So you all agree it was a successful lesson. All right. Moving right along to what extent was your instructional delivery effective in this lesson? In other words, what did you really like most about this series? What is if you could tell someone and sell it in a couple of key things, what did you like most about this series, this season, so to speak? Charlie.
I really liked the suspense of this season. I think every episode left you wanting the next episode and wanting to know who is going to spill the proverbial cat of who is Lady Whistledown. In season 3, in the end, you find out who Lady Whistledown is, and everyone knows the cat's out of the bag. But every episode is like, now this person knows. This person knows. Are they going to find out now? When is he going to find out? How is he going to find out? How is everyone going to react when they find out? So to me, it was very suspenseful in that aspect of it that I really liked in this season.
Sorry, I have to agree with Charlie on this one. And I love that it affected every family. because you had the Featheringtons hanging on by a thread because they have the person coming to kind of blow the whistle on their secret. So how is Lady Whistledown's identity going to affect them? Then you've got the Bridgerton, who she's thrown under the bus and is trying to marry into. Her best friend is there. How is it going to affect them? You've got the Queen, who is on top of her, threatening in every which way, shape, or form that she's going to find out who it is. And then you've got Penn just trying to hold on. Poor Penelope throughout this whole thing has been an entire mess. But I just love how that suspense played through every character in the story.
For me, I loved how many characters transformed in this season. Obviously, Penelope is the obvious one. They use the butterfly reference. She's coming into who she is as Lady Whistledown and Penelope combined. But I also just look at the change in Portia Featherington from this kind of cold, wicked person who, we see her scheming and clawing to do whatever she can to just, it almost seems like she's just a society climber. But in this season, we really kind of get to see why she truly wants the best matches for her daughters, and the fact that she has felt powerless in her life. The scenes with her and Penelope were great. I love anytime the Queen is on the screen, I'm glued to it, especially after watching Queen Charlotte, knowing her backstory now going into season 3 and the way she's approaching what's happening with Lady Whistledown. You understand her better, why she's so obsessed with this.
All right. Listen, you guys have waxed poetically about this show long enough. Let's get down to it. This is my favorite part. I'm not a part of this one, but I love this part. What would you do differently if you had to teach the lesson again to the same group of students? What would you change? What would you tweak? They come to you, you've seen it, they want you to tweak it, they want to redo it. What would you do differently? Go, Amanda. I know you want to say.
Charlie wants some more spicy scenes.
No, it's funny. I mean, reflecting on what I was saying, I picked season 1 because of all the spice. No, that's not why I picked season 1.
You got to close the shades for season 1.
Yeah, I did have to close the shades. This one, I feel like it's a different show, but then again, I'm very is it gratuitous or not gratuitous? And it maybe in season 1 it was a little gratuitous at times, but you kind of expected it and it wasn't there, so you're kind of But it was fine with and without it. I still enjoyed the story. Even if they continue season 4 with no MA rating, I think it would be fine. It would be a great show as long as they keep pulling out all those pieces.
100%. The only thing that I really have to, and I don't want to be looking like a hater on this, but as Colin was coming to realize that he was in love with Penelope, the look on his face, he just seemed way too confused.
You guys couldn't see that, but she just made a really great face of Colin being confused. So we all just giggled behind the scenes on that.
But I understand, it kind of comes out of nowhere for him, but I don't know. His coming to the determination of loving her looked too forced. So that's an acting thing, I guess. I love you, Luke Newton, though.
You know what? He's a fan, but he's probably not a fan anymore. So thanks a lot, Amanda.
No, I can understand that because he is very, Mr. Richardson, he is very conflicted in this season on whether or not he loves her. And you're right, because he didn't seem like he was confused at the end. He was like, all along, I loved you, and your letters were the only ones that I wanted, and it meant anything to me. So, but maybe because it was Eloise's friend, and it was a childhood friend, and he wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do in terms of that. Maybe that's why he had that confliction in there. Maybe he didn't know if, Penn wanted him.
I think there was also internal conflict because he said, he went away to find himself and he thought that being this macho guy with this confidence is what he needed to do to make it in society. And then he realized that he was just playing a role that wasn't him. So I think it had a lot to do with Penelope, and this has always been my friend and I've never looked at her this way. But at the same time, I think he's trying to figure out who he is still. And this confidence that he has and this womanizing side that he brought in the beginning of the season really wasn't who he was. So I think he was kind of trying to figure himself out there as well.
So speaking of doing things differently, let's bring this up right now. How did you feel about the split part 1 and part 2? Would you prefer, we talk
That's a
about
great
this
question.
on
Talk about
our
a lot.
end. We talk about this on our end. Like, I prefer weekly. I really like what they do on Disney Plus, where they'll drop 3 episodes and then 1 episode a week. I like that I don't know how you say it, that format much better than the 2-part, which Netflix has done before. He-Man, I don't think you watched He-Man Masters of the Universe did that, and their part 1 was very disjointed and left a lot of people like, oh my God, where's this second part going? This definitely didn't do that. This left on a good cliffhanger that definitely wanted you more, but I don't necessarily like that half and half format. I like the 3 and then 1 weekly.
And then the month gap just was way too long.
Yeah.
If they had dropped the first 3 episodes and then done the weekly, I think that's like the best of both worlds, in that you get that taste of binging, and then you have to pace yourself and wait a week for each new episode.
Yeah.
You essentially get a movie premiere, like an hour and a half movie to start, and you go weekly through it. And I like it when they do that for the shows we talked about. I don't like the gap between it and some of the shows we've watched. And you don't have time to let it breathe, because of the issue that we've talked about in this podcast before, but with this binging thing, which was great at the time, no one can talk to anyone about it unless you know they finished the show, because no one knows what episode they're on. For example, I'm watching Sons of Anarchy now, and I work with someone who watches it, and it's not what episode you're on, it's what's just happened recently, so I can determine where you are. So when you go by weekly, and some of the stuff we've covered before here, Mr. G, on the show, is just, we've seen episode 4, we're all talking about episode 4. I like that format as well. What about you, Janine? What do you think? What would you prefer?
Well,
all of it, split, whatever.
I'm the teacher that during Read Aloud loves to leave the cliffhanger, for the next day. The kids all go, no, that's just kind of me. But I would never make them wait a month for it. Like, I agree that it, give them a little bit, tease it, and then maybe the following week drop, like you said, 1 episode, then do another episode. I think the wait was too much. I love the buildup, but it was just too long.
Welcome to the Teacher's Lounge. If you ever venture into the Teacher's Lounge, I never do, though, but there's some conversations you may overhear. Some of them like this. What was their senior quote? That's the best line or lines in a series or exchange. What do you guys got for a senior quote? Amanda, what do you got?
I have 2. I have a serious one and I have a funny one.
Let's go.
So my serious one, it's like my life mantra that I'm going to follow now, is I do not fear change. I embrace it. And that was Lady Whistledown.
That's great. I don't know if I can follow that, but that's great.
And I think about that, like when we're asked to change grade levels. I used to be that teacher that was always so scared to move grade levels, but now I welcome the change. I embrace it. So that line really spoke to me. And then, besides the obvious, most hilarious moment of the season, the next one was between Philippa and Prudence, when they were they were reading an issue of Lady Whistledown out loud. And Philippa says, if we use our minds to read aloud, there may not be enough wits left for the baby. And then Prudence goes, in that case, Mama must have done a great deal of reading when she was pregnant with you.
Yeah.
That one had me roaring.
Yeah, those 2 zinged each other all season long.
Oh, so good, though.
They played off each other so well.
I hate when this happens, because I want to say something about the daughters' relationships, but the older daughter, I like, because she got very jealous in this season of Penn and Penn's relationship with the mom, and how the mom was doting over Penn and not doting over them. And I was curious to know where that was going to go. It kind of didn't really go anywhere, but I was wondering, because she always had the look, like she had this look that she was going to do something, but in the end, she didn't really do anything. So maybe that's like the red herring of part of the mystery of the unfolding, is will she uncover it and, therefore turn everyone loose?
Well, I think when at the very end, when Penelope gave her the money to throw the ball,
Mhm.
and it was everything she wanted, that was the resolution that the oldest sister needed.
Mhm.
That there was no jealousy, there was no animosity. It is just we are sisters and we're here for each other. So I think that ball was kind of the resolution. That's my opinion on it.
Gotcha. So my senior quote, which I never have, I never have. It's just always things that are funny to me.
Yeah.
Was there was one that made me cringe, and then there was one that made me out laugh when the younger sister was like, "And bugs, we need bugs."
The bugs.
And then at the end, she was like, "Oh, the butterflies," and she was like, it was almost like that Dumb and Dumber moment when he's like, "Harry, when I thought you couldn't get any dumber." And she was upset at first, and then she's like, "It was awesome," and she's like, "I told you, bugs." That made me chuckle.
You nailed it, Charlie. It's
Yeah.
so true.
And the cringy one happened when Penn and Colin were in bed for the first time, and that's all I'm going to say. He said something that I was just like, "Ooh, that was not very good." But I'll leave it at that. It was during that scene when they were on the chaise lounge.
You've already said too much.
Yeah.
What about you, Mrs. Weber?
The one that jumped out at me, Penelope was having a serious conversation with her mother, and she was really trying to decide if she could give up Lady Whistledown for her love. And mother said something about the man's dreams, and she turned around and said, "But what about my dreams?" And Lady Featherington turned around and said, "Ladies do not have dreams, they have husbands." And that just, it literally like took my breath away. I'm jumping back as I'm saying it now, because in that time, it was not about you. It was not about your dreams. It was about your husband and his family and his place in society. And I love the fact that when they made this show, the women are the forefront. And she came to the end where she realized she can have it all and she will have it all. That just struck me. They don't have dreams, they have husbands. So I can't imagine that life now. So it was just a pretty relevant moment in the show.
That was a really good line.
That Google slide was on point. What's the most rewatchable moment sequence of the season?
Only because I did watch this several times over, and it had me hysterical laughing every time. It was obviously, Amanda's laughing, it was obviously the conversation that Lady Featherington had with her two daughters about how babies are made. And Philippa's reaction
that was
to
funny.
how her and her husband were having their experience and what should be happening. But the best part of that scene was Lady Featherington's reactions, her facial expressions, the tiny little comments, what did I do wrong? How did I end up here? Like, I literally went back a few different times once my children were asleep and upstairs or had headphones on. Britches. I mean, there's just, you could throw one word out and die every time you say it, but it is. And then Lady Featherington looking at her older daughter who knows what's supposed to be happening, saying, how could she not be getting this? It was just so beautifully written, so hysterically funny, and the actors made it top notch.
That was a really funny part.
That definitely had me just laughing out loud. I could watch that over and over again as well. The facial expressions, it was just crazy. Great.
Genius.
I got to go with a Featherington scene too, but a different one, and on the completely opposite end of the Bridgerton multiverse. My most rewatchable scene was the conversation between Portia and Penelope after she finds out that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. And, she's at first like, how are we going to deal with this? And Portia is acknowledging, though, she's coming to realize how much power Penelope has as Lady Whistledown. And she says that we have done the best we could do with the opportunities that society has afforded us. And it kind of goes along with what you said about women don't have dreams, they have husbands. But she's also talking about the things that she's had to do. Obviously, she thought she married a man for security, and she found out that he gambled their money away, and then he died, and she was left with nothing. Then another man comes into the picture and leaves her high and dry. So she has no power, and she's coming to this moment of realization that her daughter, the one she least expected to have power, is the one who has the most power in the family, in the fact that her words are being read throughout the ton.
Yeah, why do they say that word ton? It's like a random
It's
English
town.
word, ton, around the ton,
The ton.
instead of town.
Just more civilized.
I
Ton.
guess so.
It's a civilized time, Charles.
You know what part I thought was really funny, and I actually watched it twice, when they first met Lord Kilmont, and he was just standing there, just kind of looking, and they were looking, and they're looking, and they were like, is he gonna actually say anything to her?
Oh my
And they
gosh.
just sat there and they looked. I enjoyed, he was an amusing side character for me, and a lot of the scenes that he was in were funny to me.
Yeah, I love when he yelled out to try and get everybody's attention, and everybody just completely ignored him in the room.
Yeah.
Just kept that
Because
Bridgerton
he said,
plan.
I have just released the plague upon all of you, and you're all going to die a horrible death. And they just ignored everything.
And they're still fighting over the last macaron.
Yes.
All right. First of all, Charlie, I thoroughly enjoyed the next topic that we just added. I think we need to keep this moving forward.
Okay.
My original idea was the Kid Cudi needle drop moment of the movie, but since we're not doing Kid Cudi, we're doing a teacher theme. I love music. It's your special today. What's your favorite pop cover of season 3? We do have some nominees that Mr. G wrote out for us. I'm going to run through them real quick.
Actually, these are all of the pop covers. There is a ton of, I don't know if it's original music, but there's a ton of music scored in all 3 Bridgerton seasons. That's just classical Victorian era music. But these are pop covers
That they did
specifically for season 3.
Yes, I definitely watched season 1 and 2, and I remember they did this a lot. Episode 1 had
ABCDFU.
Oh, got it. Oh, Dynamite, BTS by Vitamin String Quartet, and Jealous by Nick Jonas. Episode 3 had Cheap Thrills and Happier Than Ever. Episode 4 had Snow on the Beach, the Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey vehicle. Give Me Everything from Pitbull. Episode 5 had Ariana Grande, POV. Imagination Dragons, Thunder, and Demi Lovato's Confident.
Say that one again.
Imagination Dragons. Imagination Dragons is something from when my little kids were young, and that's something completely different. Remember that show? No, it wasn't Imagination
No, it was
Movers.
Puff the Magic Dragon.
No, it was Imagination
No, that was when
Movers.
Jimmy was a kid.
Imagination Movers. That was the thing my kids watched. Remember that?
Those are the 3 guys in the warehouse,
Yes,
right? With the mouse?
That was the thing. That's what I read. You know what? It wasn't them, but I wish they could make their comeback. Imagine Dragons. Thunder and Demi Lovato's Confident was in episode 6. Episode 7 featured Coldplay's Yellow and Taylor Swift again for You Belong With Me. And in episode 8, Ellie what is it? How do you say her name?
Goulding's.
Sure. Lights. All right, so these are the pop covers from every episode. Which one was your favorite?
I have 2. I can't narrow it down. So when I first watched,
I'm going to allow it.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Actually, what is for? Oh no, they're first from the first half. All right, so Imagine Dragons, Lightning and Thunder with Lady Bridgerton was so geniusly put into that scene because it's when I will quote unquote say, her garden starts to bloom, and it was like the lightning and the thunder inside of her is starting to come alive again. So that was just so brilliantly placed there. And then you got to go to Pitbull in the carriage scene. I mean, give me everything. He does. He finally gives her everything she's wanted in many ways. They are just perfectly placed. And I had to watch the carriage scene more than once to make sure it was Pitbull in the song. I thought, it was just a great scene. But yeah, those are my top 2. I can't choose between the 2. Sorry.
Charlie. Yeah, that carriage scene in season 3, I loved in episode 4. That was a good put it in there. That was a really good. Yeah. There's a lot of
Charlie just lost his thought because he's going back to the carriage scene.
Yeah.
He's distracted.
I need to watch this season because there's a lot of shenanigans going on here. A lot of things that the curtains need to be closed for because everyone's talking around stuff. I know
There's
season 1 was
it's
rough.
in a carriage.
There's a lot of stuff. Okay. All right. Well, Charlie,
I do have another song. I'm just seconding that was a good placement of song.
All right, Mr. G, what else you got?
I'm a big fan of Cheap Thrills, just in general, that song. So when that song came on, it like peeked up in my ears. I was like, oh, I like this song. But then, more importantly, when episode 1 happened and A, B, C, D, E, F, U came on, I was like, oh, I love these songs. And I forgot that they put these pop culture songs in. So I started Googling while I was watching, and I was like, I would really like to go to a show where they play all these pop songs in it. And that's when I found that they had one in New York City, but it's no longer running. And then Kat said Amanda went to that.
I did.
Oh,
And
Awesome segue.
so
Oh,
jealous.
So I have to tell you, so a year ago, I went with a whole group of teachers from my school. We all dressed up in Bridgerton era clothing, and we
Janine's
did
very
the
sad.
Bridgerton experience, and it was amazing. They had a violin and a cello, and they were playing
Oh
all the
my
songs
God.
live from the show. There was dancing. It was so cool. And I actually got to see one of Queen Charlotte's real dresses from the show.
Oh, so cool.
It was so much fun. We got to literally be part of the ball experience. We got to dance. We got to bow and curtsy to the Queen, and
Amazing.
but it was just, the music was absolutely, it was great. And I think that's one of the things that like this show does so well, is like it hooks in today and throws it back, and it makes you feel like this music's been with us all along. I went with 2 completely different songs than you guys, though. I love
Really?
those songs. Don't get me wrong. I love Demi Lovato's Confident. That song's got a lot of meaning to me. It's actually, my daughter is a competitive swimmer, and that's the song that she plays when she's getting ready to walk up to the block and swim.
Awesome.
So I have like that personal connection, and I know like what that song does for her. But then I just absolutely adored when Colin and Penelope were dancing and Taylor Swift's You Belong With Me came on at their wedding. And I was like, oh, this is like, this is what you picture when you listen to the song. Just like, the girl who's getting the guy that she's been in love with all along. So I just felt like those 2 songs were absolutely perfect and well placed, and just great representation of what you can do with some string instruments.
Amanda, when she played Demi Lovato and Cressida walked out in that red gown with that massive bow, there was no mistaking that she was about to take over. And the confidence that she had with it, I could not agree more with that song as well. Everything is so good there. It's hard to pick one, but I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah.
The only thing I was mad about was that it didn't last longer.
Fair.
That kid said, what? Funniest moment, intentional or unintentional, in the season, Amanda? What do you have down as the funniest moment?
I can't say. It's got to be
Talking code, please.
It's that conversation between Lady Featherington and her daughters, and the marital act. We'll just leave it.
Leave it at that.
There.
Keep that G rating. We got kids that listen with families. Okay.
Yes. 100%.
Mrs. Weber, same thing.
Same thing. That's
Yeah,
what
same
I
thing.
said earlier. I watched it multiple times because it was just great.
I'm gonna dance around this one.
Go ahead,
I'm gonna
Charlie.
dance around this one.
Don't get us fired. Don't get us canceled.
No, the cringy scene that I was talking about when they were on the
Cheese.
Chaise Lounge. He said, "I don't know what to do." And I've never done this before. And he was basically along the lines of, "Don't worry." Or she said, "Tell me what to do," and he said, "Okay." And then she motioned with her hands to touch him in a spot. No, not yet. So I wasn't going to think they were going to complete the act, but then they went and did it anyway. So I was just like, oh, but it just made me chuckle when he was like, no, don't touch it. And I was like, all righty. Where's it going to go?
What about when it was all over and she's like, can we do that again?
Again?
Yes. And then he was like, give me 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
And then he was like,
Maybe 10.
maybe 10. That did make me laugh.
That's really funny.
Oh, Mr. Richardson, you have to watch this. We
I
need
do
to
have
have
to check this
conversation
out.
in the morning.
I definitely have to check it out.
Yes.
Class. What's the capital of New York? Student. Martin Luther King. things that don't make any sense. Any part of this season that just you're like, wait, what happened? I'm confused. Why did this happen? Anybody got to give a couple things that just didn't make any sense to you, Mrs. Weber?
I got one.
I'm sorry,
but Mrs. Weber can go. I'm just saying I have something.
Because normally you don't. So
I know, but I do. I got something. I got.
You know what, Charlie? Go. Charlie,
no, I don't want to go.
No. Charlie, go for it. Then we'll see if we're matching. Because I do have something, and I'm sure.
So I have two things that didn't make sense. One, and I kind of know why. Like Daphne did not make an appearance in the season, and it's mostly because the Duke never, the actor that was the Duke, never re-upped. So they kind of had her very sparingly in it, but she didn't even pop up to make up an appearance at the wedding and then make an excuse that the Marquis or whatever he is, the Duke, couldn't attend, because that's kind of what she did the last time. But they still could have at least had her pop up. And then there was a scene that kind of felt unnecessary because it didn't go anywhere, but it was once again more along the lines of empowerment when Penelope went to visit the seamstress and they sat down for tea and she was like, oh, I don't think I can ever give up. And it was almost like Penn was saying to her, I'm going to stop. Penelope was paying her, right, for the gossip?
Yes.
It was giving her a cut of the gossip. And then she was kind of there to say, I'm not going to give you a cut of the gossip anymore, just because I'm not going to do it anymore. And then she kind of got weird about it and was making the analogy that I can never stop sewing. I love it so much when I see the women in their gowns, kind of sowing the seed that, Penelope is not going to be able to give it up. But if that scene never happened, the show would have been nothing, zilch changed about the show.
One of those things where if you remove it, it doesn't actually affect the plot.
It doesn't actually affect the plot at all.
The one thing that didn't make sense to me was like there was this whole build up with Benedict, like getting him to embrace his, love for multiple people. And then like as soon as like he comes to the realization that he's into it, Tilly pulls the plug on it and she's like, yeah, no, I just want it to be us. And I was like, okay, I thought I saw where you were going with this and now you just yanked it. So I don't know if that's supposed to, push him further along his journey to finding true love, if that's, the way they want to go with it.
I'm sorry, but which confused me about with that when he first said no, but when he went to art school, wasn't he like doing that at the art school?
And then he was looking.
He was definitely like, he was window shopping.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it was weird when he was like, at first, he kind of, I don't want to say refused. I guess he refused. He said no, thank you at first, and then decided to whatever. But to me, in my mind, I was like, yeah, but I thought at the art school he was doing that.
Well, if you recall, his professor kind of was trying to, entice him, so to speak. And he did not seem into it at all there. And then
maybe I didn't remember that.
Yeah, but he was more into it with the two ladies. And then this season, he was kind of like, all right, maybe I will open this door and explore this. So that was really interesting. And then the other thing that it's not so much didn't make sense, but I didn't love how they literally cut directly from that scene with Benedict at Tilly's house and then just showed him like all of a sudden on the swings with Eloise. Like it felt like there needed to be something there in between. I don't know. That was just like a film, like
editing thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the editing.
I get what you mean.
It
needs to be an extra beat between that moment and the next moment.
But I'll be honest. So Amanda, that was the same scene that I was going to talk about, the whole Benedict and discovering different loves and things like that. But I think the reason they went straight to the swings was because that is almost like his subconscious with Eloise. He's always able to talk through what he's thinking and where he's going to go next with her. I love that they put them back on the swings. I absolutely love that scene with the two of them together.
Don't get me wrong. I love that they were on the swings. I just thought it was weird that they cut from the bedroom directly to the swings. That was my.
I picked up on that. I picked up on that when it happened. I was like, oh, that was
all of a sudden they're there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was just him expressing what was in his brain at the time, and she's his sounding board. I also think it's leading to, my personal opinion is that the next season is going to be Benedict, and it's showing because Eloise is going to go off for a little while, do her thing. I read that book. That's a great story. but I think it's going to be Benedict. And I think everything that happened that didn't really seem to fit is going to lead to where he's going next. So I think that was foreshadowing to what's coming next season.
Oh, you don't think Eloise is going to be in the next season?
I don't. I think Amanda's shaking her
think
head
she's
too.
going to stay away?
I think
in Scotland?
she needs her time to kind of find herself. And then Charlie, read the book. You'll see who she finds and how she finds him. I think Benedict is the next focus. That's
Yeah, but they
opinion.
introduced Kilmartin. It's Kilmartin.
Kilmartin.
They introduced Kilmartin's cousin at the very end as if she's going to be a reappearing character. But why would she come back from Scotland to Mayfield without them?
So you have to kind of look. You got to watch a little TikTok kind of stuff happening. The cousin is not going the way you think it's going to go.
She's going to stay.
They are going to. Amanda, have you read about Francesca at all or heard about it?
I've read all the books, so yeah, I know.
Okay,
you know Amanda was down from day one. You can tell. You guys are both in. You guys should be friends.
You hear what they want to do though in the next season with her?
Yes.
I don't want to give too much. Okay,
yeah,
so
she's going to be in the next season, though, is what you're saying?
No, I don't think.
Charlie, do you care if she says it or not?
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see John's cousin. So next season will be 4. I think season 4 is going to be Benedict's season.
Benedict, agreed.
I think season 4 is then going to introduce who Eloise's real true love interest is going to be. And I think she's going to be season 5. And then I think in the time that passes between 4 and 6 is going to be Francesca's. Because Francesca's story kind of like happens on the side off in Scotland.
Totally.
That's the thing, is that like her story parallels her siblings, but the timing is just different.
What book was
the books in the show?
Yes, that's what I've heard, is the timing is different. So it's kind of, I think that's it done on purpose to kind of weave some of these storylines together and obviously make it so that if you read the books, you don't know exactly what's going to happen, to kind of give you the entertainment value as well.
Right. I keep hearing that they are going to take Francesca's character and turn it into an LGBTQ situation. Very different from the book. They're going to spin her a bit.
Oh, see, I felt Eloise was going that way.
No. And there's a lot of...
I think that's what they wanted you to think.
Right. But I think there's a lot of backlash coming because, readers don't like when they change the storyline from the book to the show.
Yeah.
So she's getting the writers are getting some backlash about it, but that was the intention. Maybe they won't follow through with it, but that's kind of where they were supposed to be going with Francesca.
In the book, the character is Michael Kilmartin, not Michaela Kilmartin.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, just some food for thought. Yeah, we'll see what they do with it.
That didn't make sense then.
We jumped into a further down category, which is, are we teaching this again next year? We kind of know suggestion. Mr. G, got any ideas of where you want to see this go? I mean, you already heard them speak on it, but do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
We'll go back around to the other ones.
My biggest question, though, is moving forward. The lady, who is Lady Whistledown or Whistledown, was a big part of the show besides, the whole love stories going on with the Bridgertons. Like, I don't know. Like, where is her place? Like, now everyone knows who she is. She's going to write. She's going to publish. But, like, how is that element going to, for me personally, be, like, as good as it was when no one knew? And now everyone knows. And
so
I don't.
So the one thing that I just love about the books is that I feel like every single one of them gets their shining moment, and then it's like they live happily ever after, and you move on to the next. And the other ones do kind of like fall into the backdrop, but they're all still there, and they'll still have like their little family squabbles and their parties, and you get that, but like. I'm just looking forward to what's to come as a reader of the series, and I'll leave it there.
Yeah, Charlie, I think Lady Whistledown is going to become like that.
Daphne, like she's just now gone.
No, I think she's going to be like a narrator. I think she's going to be that overseeing narrator who kind of just keeps, filling in the gaps of what's going on in society and things like that. Everybody knows that it's Penelope, obviously, but I think she's going to be like just the narrator pushing the story along. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right. It would make sense because she kind of does that now, but
Right.
She'll still have that. All right, maybe. She'll be like in was that Desperate Housewives? How
yeah.
it had the narrator was in Desperate Housewives. Maybe she
That
just will
neighbor.
take up that narrating part.
I
didn't even think
completely
about
get that
that.
reference.
Nice connection.
I watched that show a lot.
One of the things that I was kind of thinking all along too is that, we've been getting the Mondriches. That's the boxer, and then his son gets the title, and we're watching their transition from regular folk into nobility. And there was a scene where they came to, I guess, a ball. The son is the one who gets introduced first, not the parents, because he inherits.
He's got the title. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was, interesting to see. But one thing that and maybe I'm just overlooking, but I thought I felt like a glance between Hyacinth and the son. And
in the last episode at the wedding when they were playing together?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it too. Yes.
And
Isn't she much older than him?
Well, probably not. She's a girl. She's tall for her age. He hasn't hit that, that jump yet.
But in the world of matches, it doesn't matter.
Correct. But I'm thinking, so obviously in the books, she marries somebody related to Lady Danbury. But I wonder if this is the foreshadowing of who her
Hyacinth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a nice call.
That's my hot take.
Nice.
That's not hot. It's a good take.
Yeah.
It's a thoughtful take on it.
Who is the star student in your class this year? Okay, we're talking about best actor or character in the show. You have a sticker to pass out. Mr. G's notorious for giving out lots of stickers. We'll see what happens this time. Who gets your sticker if you have them to give out? Amanda, who's getting your sticker?
Oh, this one was so hard, but it was so easy all at the same time. I have to give my sticker to Polly Walker. Polly Walker plays Portia Featherington. The range that we saw from her, from deadpan serious to, the sarcasm, like I said, going from cold and cruel to loving and endearing. She played every facet of her character this season, and I just loved watching her. Every time she was on the screen, that was like my favorite part of the show this season.
One sticker. Hear that, Mr. G? One sticker. Mrs. Weber, who's getting a sticker?
Oh.
You can give out more than one.
I know. You have to give it to Nicola Coughlan. I mean, it's Penelope. It's her story. I know it's Colin, but it's her story. It's her metamorphosis to the butterfly. It's her change of clothing, her change of coloring, her change of hair. She's following her dream, following her love. You got to give it to her. It's all about her. And I love the fact that she made sure that her curviness was shown and she was not getting hate about it. And she made sure that her body was right there for all curvy women to see. So I give her so much credit for that. And then I really, really, really loved Lady Bridgerton. She's another one who's coming back into her own while she's still guiding the family with Francesca, who she's like, God only knows what's going to happen with this child. She's trying to push different avenues. She wants them all to have that love match because that's where she found her happiness. I love the way she stands by all her children. She knew what Colin didn't even know yet. She knew that Colin's love was Penelope. She dropped every hint that she could, that this is the direction you need to go in, all while keeping her best friend, Lady Danbury, there, making it known that she would not trade her in for her brother. But while like I said, her garden was blooming and just kind of being there the whole time to make sure everything needs to go as planned. Loved her. And poor Lord Debling, we didn't even say anything about him. We couldn't have had this entire season without this man. And we haven't even mentioned him, but I give him props for stepping to the side. He knew Penelope and Colin were meant for each other, and he stepped to the side and let it happen. So props to him too.
And he didn't come back at all.
Nope.
All right.
Charlie, you got a
Went off
sticker.
to study his
Let's go.
plants.
All right. Yeah, he went off to study his plants.
He was gone for a few months.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, the big gold star goes to Penelope. She was center stage of this show, of this season, 100%. She did a great job acting. She was very believable, too. Sometimes some of their acting is a little weird or hokey or at times, but I felt like she was very consistent all along, the whole way through from beginning to end. So she gets my star because I really enjoyed her storyline. I'm going to give a silver star. You know, get that packet? Gold star, silver star. The silver star goes to every single one of those background servants that knew every single dirty secret. Who was this? Who was that? Who was shacking it up with who? They all had to know who Lady, because, they're in these rooms. There's no music. Like, they're just like standing there talking. The footmen, the doormen, they know everything. And they kept their mouths shut.
Kind of like
the entire time. No secrets. There was no
Wait, what did you just say, Amanda?
I said it's kind of like the secretaries in a school.
That's exactly what I was thinking. The secretaries and the custodians, they know all and say nothing. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yes.
But I love the maid. I don't know, were they called maids? The head maid of the Featheringtons. I really enjoyed her character.
Sorry.
Yeah. I love the part when she kind of takes the daughters are planning the ball.
Yeah.
And she kind of takes them. She's like, I know how to make more with less. And then, she gets the money from Penn. And she's the one that made that ball come to fruition for the daughters. And it was great for that. And I feel like she kind of had her shining moment because, she was a little questionable at times here and there, because in the first season, you weren't necessarily meant to like the Featheringtons. And she was a very standoffish kind of woman. But I really enjoyed her part that she played this season. So all of those people, those background people that knew everything, kept their mouths shut.
Nicely done, Charlie.
How many people are there, Charlie? I didn't know how many stickers you gave out, basically. I just want to know.
There was probably like 300
stickers.
Yeah,
gotcha. 301 stickers given out. All right.
It was the big pack. It was the mega pack of stickers.
They show the two people whispering hushed tones, and then they pan out, and there's a footman just standing by a door. Like, man had to hear everything they said. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Who ate my lunch? What prop of memorabilia from the show would you like to have stolen from the set? Somehow we got in the set. Me, I actually folded my way in there with you guys, but I'm not that interested. You guys get to steal something on the way out the door. So what are you taking with you? Mrs. Weber, what are you stealing?
I think the carriage. It was such an iconic moment from the season. I would take the carriage and just put it in my backyard somewhere, plant some flowers in it or something. But I think I would take the carriage, have a little pit bull playing next to it just for, memory. But gotta love a good carriage.
Amanda.
I want Queen Charlotte's gowns, her jewels, and I want her wigs.
I think her gown, when she busted in, the red one she was wearing, I like that was a nice one.
Yeah.
And her gown.
Her hair was a little much, though, with the little.
It's always
stuff
a
in
little
it.
much.
How about the one with the animatronics?
Yeah, she had that's the one
that were going around in her wig. Like, that was just incredible. And it's funny. I read an article where somebody asked her, like, "Oh, it must have been so uncomfortable for you to wear that." And she says, "Actually," she goes, "they spent 3 years designing this wig," and she said it was light as a feather. Wow. So props to the people who pulled that off and allowed her to still, do her job and be comfortable doing it. But
you know what? I'm going to give them a sticker. They get a sticker from me because I didn't get to give one out.
What color?
They get a gold sticker for any of the costumes. Any costume in this thing, from what I've seen previous seasons, and I haven't even seen whatever the animatronic thing you described. I'm going to give them some of my gold stickers too. I'm going to help them contribute.
This definitely has that clean, romanticized version of what Victorian England was like, because it was anything other than clean and smelling good and all of that stuff. But, the costume department it was perfect. And I'm thinking to myself, where can I get myself a Victorian tux? Because those stuff, it's like, I want to go to a party dressed in that stuff and listen to some music in a ball.
You need Colin's wedding outfit. That was the best when he walked out and his brothers looked at him and gave him like the you did good kid kind of thing. Oh my God, he was so handsome.
2 more categories. One thing, can you believe she asked a question at the end of the meeting? We're all teachers here. We know we've been in meetings. The meeting's about to end, and then someone raises their hand and asks a question, which clearly could have been in the email. Is there anything you want to say before we get out of here and grade this?
I do. I am the person that hates this, but I actually have a question for you ladies. Which ball do you think was the best ball? Because this season, every ball was meant to outdo the other ball. So which ball do you think was the greatest ball?
All right, I got it. Mandrake Ball. When they came out to impress society and the queen showed up and they had her perch like high above everybody. But when they cranked the tree and the tree came down and the queen looked at it and goes, not bad at all. Like you just had that feeling of we nailed it. We're here. I just think that was my absolute favorite. So that's my favorite ball.
Yeah. I love the Mondrich ball as well. Like I said, just them getting that seal of approval, because that was really kind of like their whole storyline this whole season was, gaining the approval of society. When Queen Charlotte gives her stamp of approval, like she's not going to say that was great, but she said, not bad. I like that.
Jean, what were you telling me earlier about the colors of their outfits? You said something.
Yeah, so I was telling Jimmy, I was, again, I'm a big geek. I love all the behind the scenes stuff. I had learned that the color of the wardrobe for each family meant something. So the blue, Amanda, you did the costumes. So the blue of the Bridgerton notes their place in society. Blue is a very high class color. And if you notice, they all wear shades of blue. And then I also learned that as the season went on, Penelope started wearing shades of blue to show that she was becoming a Bridgerton and going into the family. The Featheringtons with their bright citrus colors, that was to show that it's a terrible thing, but they were almost the clowns of the society because they had been under so much turmoil and so much ridicule from society because of everything they had gone through. They put them in those bright, like I said, almost clown-like colors. Lady Danbury wears almost all purple because of her relation to the queen.
Regal.
And how close she is. So she comes into like that royal side of it. Amanda, if there's anything else that I'm missing.
So, Cressida always wore red or pink. She was always in that shade of red and pink.
Yeah,
so
she's in the red and pink, which it's funny because she kind of like, if you notice, when she peaks in what I'll call her resentment, the colors that she wears intensify. So I thought
it's following her mood.
It is. It's definitely like she just doesn't look like she belongs. She looks like she belongs more in like the Hunger Games at times. Even like she reminds me of Tilda Swinton's character in the Hunger Games, just the way she's so stern and stiff. But one thing I read too is that the colors with the Bridgertons and the Featheringtons, the blue represents old money.
Yes.
And the greens and the citruses represent new money. And the people with the new money weren't looked on as favorably as the, established royal family. Yes.
And that follows all the way through up to, New York, when the Vanderbilts and the Carnegies and the Morgans, it's all the same thing. It's old money versus new money. So that's originally where it did start. Yeah.
You guys know a lot.
History geeks.
I love it.
It's funny. I noticed the colors, but I never thought about them that way.
That's why we brought him here.
Go back and you're going to watch the episodes, Charlie, and you're going to look at the color that everybody's wearing in every episode at every.
I know. I when you said blue, and I'm like, oh, you know what? They're always blue. Every room in their house is blue,
and Violet wears violet a lot.
Yes, that was in there as well. Yes, and then watch also Penelope. She changes to the stronger teals, the greens, the burgundies, because she's coming into her own. She's getting her strength. She's coming out of the one that is never listened to.
Gotcha.
And she even heard the pin curls in her hair. There was a name for them, and it was like to attract men. So if you notice when she gets her hair done, she went from it being tight and curled to these tiny little pin curls and loose, and those were meant to attract men.
Simple men.
Simpletons.
Yeah.
They are.
Curly
They
your
really
hair.
are. All right, guys. It is time to get ready to wrap this up with a final grade because it's late and I'm tired. But I'm having a great time, though. This is fun. I can't wait to watch this because now I need to pay attention. But I'm going to be watching through the lens of what we discussed, which is looking at the colors, wanting to hear about what happens in this carriage thing. This whole conversation that turned out funny. Like, I'm waiting for moments now that I weren't aware, but I am going to watch it when the summer gets in. All right, let's grade this. Ladies first, of course. Charlie, you're going to have to wait. And the eeny, meeny, miny, mo puts me on Amanda first. Amanda, final letter grade for this season of Bridgerton.
Hey, my name's Amanda. It's got to be an A for this season of Bridgerton.
Take that. You're doing well. Mrs. Weber, grade it.
3 is my favorite season, so A+ for me.
A+. Mr. McDonough hates A+, but he's not here to
He's
judge
not
us
here.
on it.
You snooze, you
Yeah,
lose.
no, and I like A+. They're awesome. Mr. G, you're gonna go with A too?
Oh, solid A. And in retrospect, thinking about this season and listening to everything the two ladies had mentioned, it really was, I think, the best season in terms of story, in terms of, I don't want to say necessarily engagement, but like engagement in all the plots and all of the thoughts. So I really did like this season a lot.
It changes perspective a little bit.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's what we're
Doing
here
good
for.
work out there. You guys have fun.
Always a good time. Thank you.
100%. I'm so glad you brought this super fan on to talk the esteemed Fandalorians.
Nice.
Thank you. Esteem. I like that. It sounds so good. It's really great. Thank you for joining us. You're more than welcome to come back any other time you want to discuss something. You know we're always here. This is great. Next time I'll be able to talk more because I'll know about it. But this was fun. Mr. G, did you have fun?
Of course I had fun.
You're here all the time. For Janine, for Amanda, for Mr. G, I am Mr. Richardson. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.